Welcome to my channel. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and to watching me have another one of my favorite Tim Hortons drinks, which is a small ice cap, and yeah, it's full of sugar. Also, welcome back to another episode of what's been appropriately fitting into the category of missing kids, found or lost. However, today we won't be discussing the case of a missing child in particular. We will be discussing the prime suspect in the case of a missing child and other similar or related cases that do not involve missing children. In fact, we are going to be discussing the updates of this prime suspect's trial and certain testimonial evidence that has been coming out in court lately. So stick around and wait and see what I have found out for you. And yeah, it's frustratingly little. It's a very tense kind of dramatic court case because another one is pending on the outcome of this court case, or a series of related court cases that have been strung together. So, let's sit back and listen and watch and see what this case will unfold for us today. Despite its sugary flavor, it is so delicious, guys. I love the ice cap. 3-year-old Madeleine McCann vanished on May the 3rd, 2007 in Praia da Luz, Portugal, while vacationing with her family. Her parents left her and her siblings asleep in their cots in the apartment while the parents dined with friends at a nearby tapas bar. Madeleine McCann has never been traced since, alive or transpired. However, this trial is not about that case. And so, everybody, Maddie McCann has never been traced since, alive or transpired, and all of the leads that were followed up on led to nowhere. And so, this trial, it isn't even about Maddie, but because of all the complications that I'm going to be describing, it's not very likely that there ever will be a trial about Maddie. We just have never been able to get to the bottom of what actually might have really happened to her. Although I think we can get a pretty good grasp on the one fact that she probably will not be returning home anytime soon. And so, you might be asking yourselves, what did this suspect do? Why is he on trial? Who are his accusers? And when did certain things happen? Where did they happen? How did they happen? Are the victims lying? Why would they lie? Did the suspect really do these things, and is there any evidence? So the prime suspect has already served 7 years in a German prison, for attacking an elderly American female in Portugal. And that was a 2019 conviction for a very brutal attack against her. And she is a female whose case that I did review last November. And it is now, he is now on trial for a series of additional attacks and indecent exposure allegations. Now, a court recently heard that the suspect is believed to be part of a very large criminal human trafficking ring, and it is a ring that absolutely terrifies some of his friends, or some of his ex-friends, I should say. So a jury heard a teenager sobbing, bursting into tears, as she described how this same prime suspect exposed himself to her in a playground when she was 11 in 2017. And I am sorry to bring this up. I don't like to speak of such things, so I will let it go at that. But can you imagine the terror at whoever this person was? She didn't understand exactly what was going on, but obviously and apparently, logically, she knew it was quite terribly wrong. So, in 2017, this little 11-year-old girl quickly escaped, and she was lucky enough to have been able to do so. She escaped and fled, very terrified, to her dad, who was luckily nearby, and he actually, her father said that he then made his way over to this same suspect, who is now a convict, and he was also then a convict, and he grabbed the convict, and he saw the convict, the prime suspect, quickly attempt to pretend to make a phone call. Here's what the little girl's dad had to say. When I got there, the suspect pretended to make a call using a pack of cigarettes in his hand. I spoke to him in Portuguese, and he tried to respond to me in English. I called the police and grabbed him. I held him there until they came. We did not exchange another word from then on, but I kept them there. Wow, guys. He held him captive. And I know that in this country, that fact alone would have freed the suspect immediately, because it would have been illegal. So in this country. So I'm surprised that the suspect did not attempt to break free or cause a disturbance or anything like that. Um, I'm trying to imagine this scenario, and it must have been pretty horrific, both for the dad and the little girl, and I imagine the prime suspect would have suffered also. But it's no laughing matter. And as the story goes on, the officers who presently arrived did speak about the suspect in a very criminal context, and they described him as being possibly involved, or almost rather certainly involved, in other crimes. The report was made at a playground in a town center where parents sat as children played throughout the evening, or I imagine this would have been the early evening. And so the dad said a work friend assisted him in guarding the suspect. Oh, and who did not attempt to escape. So, presently on trial for a series of lewd attacks in Portugal on various children, the suspect allegedly removed or pulled down his trousers where children played in the Algarve, Portugal, in the town of São Bartolomeu de Messines in 2017. So the little girl now explained to the court that she was crying again, and she didn't realize at the time exactly what he was trying to do, but it scared her, and she now realizes fully exactly what he was trying to do, because now she's 18 years old, and she can come to grips with the reality of the horror of the entire scenario, and it still really leaves her quite distraught. He explains, "I ran straight to my father, and I told him what had happened. My father spoke with another man who was his work friend, and they both called the police." One other holiday maker did admit recently in court that she feared the prime suspect might have attacked her at his remote lair or farm in Portugal. And her name is Andrea. And Andrea told the jury in Germany that in 2003, when she was 28 years old, she went with her friend Yvonne to stay with the suspect at his home, which was then a farm in the Algarve. And so the prime suspect did pick them up in an incredibly filthy vehicle from the airport. So some of us might want to ask, is that a lie? Is that really true? Or did the women simply realize what he could be, or what he could do after their arrival to his home? And what I'm suggesting is that maybe they did find something there that scared them. And so why would they allow him, in other words, or else why would they even allow him to give them a lift and stay at his place? They must have been, caught off guard, surprised, shocked, and had an immediate change of heart. You can almost see how shape-shifting he could have been. Imagine these two unsuspecting females who were friends of his, quote-unquote friends, and, imagine the friendliness of a guy picking up two of his young friends at the airport and bringing them home with him. To me, that is almost a very friendly and good-natured thing to do. And it gives the prime suspect a very good-natured personality. However, they began to suspect something when he first warned the women when they got to his farm to stay out of his room. Stay clear from my room. And he then headed into town, but left them there. And I'm sure that they weren't being held captive, or they would have said so at court. And so Andrea did tell the court that his cottage was absolutely filthy and also covered in dirt, like his vehicle, with a video camera on the floor and cassettes strewn all about. So were they frightened by whatever they saw at the farm or the cottage? Did they manage to catch any details of what was on those videotapes? That's not clear at all. After spending hours attempting to clear just a little tiny fraction of the squalor at the farm, they started to panic about what he might later do when he finally returned from his outing. And Andrea says, I hadn't yet found out who he was, and I thought something isn't right here. Without their suspicions raised from the Maddie McCann case, they were afraid. And so I imagine that this fear did develop after they were dropped off and after they had a good look around. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense that they would allow him to pick them up at the airport and then be afraid of him. It doesn't make sense. They must have seen something there that really frightened them. Their fear at the farm that night was compounded by the fact that there were no proper streets anywhere near the farm. There were no neighbors. There were no people. There was nothing there. Oh, that would have scared me. That would have scared me. I wouldn't have felt that I was, out in the middle of a peaceful countryside. I would have been terrified. Especially if you're alone in a foreign country. It's even worse, right? So they were both afraid that he would return with several men or more men, and that they would also become classic victims. And so I don't know what it was exactly that made them feel like they could become victims of anything. That is not made clear. That part of the evidence has been concealed from the public, covered up, and maybe it's with good reason. I'm sure it's with good reason. And so we'll just have to wait and see what exactly they did find that scared them half to death. Myself, I probably would not have gone to a remote area. I don't go to people's homes when I travel. But for the suspect himself, I probably would have felt so drawn to him for him being on his own and going through a rough life. I believe that he may have shared some details of his life with some of his friends. I probably would have become, friends with him for life. And I still believe that whatever the suspect did or didn't do, he really needed to be touched by loving and caring people. I think it would have prevented him from getting caught up in scandals like this and perhaps committing crimes. Now, we don't know what's going on, but we can pretty much guess that he was up to no good. So as soon as the suspect had had some sleep after returning, they let him wake up early, and I don't know if they woke him up, but they demanded, Andrea and the other girl demanded, it's Yvonne. Andrea and Yvonne demanded that he immediately drive them into the city so they could find a hotel and stay there. Now, whether or not that arrangement had already been made beforehand, I'm not sure. So we'll have to see if any more of those details actually come out. Another female who did live in Praia da Luz, where little Maddie vanished, she said that she heard about the vile videos that were uncovered by the suspect's former pals. And I don't know if they mean uncovered by the girls or other witnesses, but this woman was called Nadia, and Nadia did live in Praia da Luz at the time that the suspect was living nearby. Now, Nadia told the court that a Mari witness told her, this would be one of the men that I've been talking about recently, told her about tapes and a mob that he thought was after him. And so I'm going to suggest right here that perhaps Nadia was indicating a mob from this horrific and insanely criminal app called the Telegram. Nadia claimed that one tape showed the suspect wearing a mask as he attacked the elderly American lady and a girl that could have been as young as 12 or 13. And I just want to clarify that I'm not exactly sure if Nadia is indicating that it was she who saw the tapes, or the girls who saw the tapes, or the male witnesses who saw the tapes. But we have now a total of 5 witnesses. None of these witnesses ever saw or were around when the alleged crimes that the prime suspect allegedly committed. Media also revealed something quite important, that after finding footage, one witness fled the country because he was afraid the suspect would come after him. I believe that in this case, Nadia was referring to the key witness, Bushing, who I already talked to you about around December, January. And Bushing has been diagnosed with cancer, a court has recently heard. And so it has been kept under wraps because of this court case. And so that fact hasn't come out really until very recently. And so now I understand the apology to the McCanns in a much better light, because it was a potential blow to the entire case that surrounds Maddie and the mystery of her disappearance. And so it was then that the 53-year-old, I don't know if it's Nadia or Bushing, reported the prime suspect to the police after inquiring about the missing youngster. Yes, this would have been Bushing. And being told by the prime suspect that she didn't even scream. Well, apparently, if you remember some of the clues that I gave you when I went over a bit of the case way back last winter, we uncovered the fact that there was, how do I say this, evidence of drugs, like a syringe and empty packages that were left in the McCann apartment the night that Maddie disappeared, and they were discovered ultimately by the McCanns. Whether or not they were missed entirely by the police, I'm not sure, but that was evidence. So if somebody injected little Maddie with something, that could very well be why she didn't scream. She was out like a light. But a court heard that this witness who gave evidence, and evidence means something concrete and tangible, not just verbal testimony, I don't know what it was, did refuse cancer treatment, and he might not have long left to live. And so that raises the prospect of the Madeleine McCann case never arriving to court at all. So 2 things about that strike me as really important and significant. One being that why did the suspect wait, or did he wait, and it's just not been called to our attention until now? I'm not sure which. And another is that I don't understand if this is just something like a hoax or something set up to make it look as though the Madeleine McCann case is now hopeless. Are there really people out there who know what happened? I personally, I believe, and I don't want to give you my opinion as fact because I don't know. But learning about this app and the horrifying truths about the telegram, whatever evidence that is out there, if any, about Maddie McCann, it's going to die down with all the followers of that app, meaning that there are indeed maybe thousands who might know exactly and precisely what happened to Maddie McCann. I don't know. But if it was on the Telegram or an app such as the Telegram, I'm very sure that people know about it. And where is the footage? Well, permanently erased and successfully. What makes Telegram so criminal? So another key witness that I have recently brought up as well, a key witness in the Madeleine McCann investigation, Manfred Seyfarth, has also been diagnosed with cancer. And the former suspect friend, Michael, 50, also told the court, "I do not have long to live," according to a diagnosis. So there's Michael, Manfred, Bushing. Okay. This brings us to about 8 witnesses that they still haven't seen anything conclusive, as far as I can tell. Prosecutors from their offices said that recorded testimonies could ultimately always be read out if required. Of course, it's not the same as, taking the oath in person at that specific time and place. And during that trial, Bushing revealed that British detectives flew out to meet him and spent 3 days interviewing him about Maddie's disappearance. He also told the court that it was indeed the biggest failure of his life not to report the suspect immediately. And so there's my answer, guys. There's our answer. He did not report it immediately. I guess it took a while for him to let it sink in. You know how sometimes, your friends brag, and you never know quite what to make of their statements at times, especially if it's in a bar and he's had a few drinks in him. There are so many circumstances that can affect the emergency of that witness and what he experienced at the bar. I'm not saying that it could not have happened. I'm just saying that, yeah, it delayed a lot. This witness, Bushing, also revealed that he found vile videos in the suspect's home. Remember I said that he went to the suspect's home and found this stuff while the guy is in prison. And but he did not yet reveal what the horrors actually were. But we can all pretty much imagine they are indeed as the two women who were attacked, the travel rep and the American widow. It's pretty much along those lines, right? The whipping, the robbery, the threats. I don't want to go there. Testimony from other witnesses do expose the fact that Bushing was indeed afraid for his safety, fearing for his life. And it was Bushing who had to flee the country because he knew that as soon as the suspect got out of prison, he would probably make his way to Bushing because he would have found the items from his home missing. Well, didn't the police check it? That's what I don't understand about this case. How do things work in Portugal? I don't get it. Bushing, he really and truly believed that the prime suspect was part of a very vicious mob, a very dangerous mob. That was Bushing's fear. Nadia said that when she became aware that the suspect was linked to Madeleine McCann, she contacted the FBI to reveal what she knew. Now, guys, I'm wondering if it was that she became aware that it could be linked, or if it really is that she was definitely sure that he was linked. Without a doubt. I don't know the context of her statements. So, although she had a pretty good idea that the prime suspect indeed could very well be linked to the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. Besides Nadia reporting her information to the FBI locally, a former friend of his claimed that the suspect stole the toddler to sell her to a trafficking network. And that would be a witness, a friend, an acquaintance. And so I'm wondering how well that witness or friend actually knew about this ring. How well did he know? And why was it kept so well concealed for so long? That is why I am asking people to take everything that they hear with a little bit of salt, a grain of salt, because you don't know exactly, maybe they were scared and finally came forth with the truth. We don't know the circumstances of what made all of these 8 witnesses come forward. And I'm not talking about the children who were abused by him. This is besides the children. So I'm not sure what other circumstances led up to the possible link to the suspect with Maddie McCann. To this day, to this very day, and this same moment, the prime suspect maintains his innocence in this particular, in these cases, as well as in the Maddie McCann case, and he continues to deny all claims in all of these cases. And so, everyone, that is about all I have for you today. And I'm not sure when I'm going to upload it. Hopefully tonight. But I have a very busy week ahead of me. And I also have other videos that I have edited, but I want to put this one up first. So it's prolonging me even more. I hope that you get it soon enough. And I got it out as soon as I could, within 24 hours of hearing about it. And that's all there is out there right now. So we'll have to sit tight and wait and see what else will develop from all of these allegations. So that's about all I have for you today. And I hope that you have enjoyed listening and watching. And please subscribe if you would like to stay updated on this particular case and other content as well.